Welcome to Public Health on Call, a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, where we bring evidence, experience, and perspective to make sense of today's leading health challenges. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes.
Hey listeners, it's Lindsay Smith Rogers. So we're all familiar with the story of the asteroid that ended the age of the dinosaurs. But then, why didn't the dinosaurs return? Why did mammals take their place? Today, Dr. Arturo Casadevall joins Stephanie Desmon in a thought-provoking conversation about new research pointing to the evidence that fungi may have played a major role in one of Earth's greatest extinction stories. Let's listen. Arturo Casadevall, I'm so happy to have you back on the podcast.
Hi, Stephanie. Thank you for having me back.
You've been exploring this idea that fungi may have played a role in shaping evolution for many years. But you've got a new study. What is the new evidence that moves this from an intriguing idea to something maybe we can test?
That's right. So this new study describes a fungal bloom in North America around the time that the dinosaurs went extinct. What is generally believed is that a rock from outer space hit the Yucatan and it caused a tremendous calamity on the planet, and that wiped out a lot of the life forms, including the dinosaurs. So when people think about extinctions, they don't think about infectious diseases. Why? Because infectious diseases don't leave a record on the bones. They basically kill you by what they do to the soft matter. But I have always been intrigued by a couple of different facts. One of them is that we, as mammals, who inherited the world after the dinosaurs, are very resistant to the fungi. Why is that the case? Why are we so resistant when plants have such a hard time? Insects, frogs, snakes. And the question always was, about 20 years ago, it was described in New Zealand that there had been a fungal bloom immediately after the calamity. And the way we think about it is, well, you're going to have a lot of dead animals, dead vegetables, dead trees. So the fungi are the great decomposers. So yeah, they took off. But that had only been in one site in the world, and it had not been found in other places. And we established a collaboration with paleontologist Tyler Ellison, who was incredibly helpful in the study. But the big breakthrough came from the first author on the paper, Rosanna Baker. And the reason that it was the breakthrough was because, before I tell you what it is, I will tell you that other people had looked across the world for this fungal spike, and they had not found it. And what she did, and she attributed this to beginner's luck, I attribute it to being a good scientist, is that she basically changed the parameters to the filtration. And as soon as she used different parameters, she found this enormous fungal bloom. What's really new about the paper is that she found a bigger one, about 40 to 50,000 years before the asteroid hit. And that coincides with a period of massive volcanism. At that time, the Indian subcontinent was separated from what is now Asia. And there was these volcanoes in what is now Decca, India, which are known as the Deccan Traps, that opened up. And it was a period of tremendous volcanism. So what's in the big idea here is that it was a two-hit. The asteroid hit the Earth at a time in which the Earth was under a tremendous amount of stress from volcanism. And that's, in a nugget, what the paper's about.
So she found this bloom, and it suggests that fungi were sort of poised to really take off and then took advantage?
Yeah, I think, Stephanie, you're getting at the nugget of the question. Why did we get a fungal bloom in the first place? I mean, fungi need something to grow. Fungi are the big decomposers. So if you have stress forests because of volcanism, acid rain, changing climate, you can imagine fungal diseases spreading through the planet and some of these trees dying, and that only gets you more fungi. What is striking is that this fungal proliferation went on for so many years. I should caution the listeners that any scientific observation needs to be corroborated. This information is coming only from North America. Now, the important thing is to look for a similar fungal bloom in other parts of the world to see whether we were dealing with a truly global calamity.
So you don't suggest that the fungal blooms caused the extinction of the dinosaurs. What is your hypothesis?
Yes, it's a hypothesis, an idea that when after the calamity, you had survivors, you had small reptiles, and you had small mammals. And the reason we know that is because we have them today. We have iguanas today, and we have small mammals. And the question that has always troubled me is, the mammals need so much energy to get through the day. I ask the listeners, how many meals do you eat a day? If you were reptilian, you probably have to eat once a week. How do we end up with mammals being the dominant land animals? When you go outside, what do you see? Mammals and birds. They're both hot. And then you have this fungal bloom. And we know that fungi are quite intolerant to higher temperatures. So the idea is that this fungal world, by causing disease, basically gave the mammals a leg up. And that's the way to think about it. The dinosaurs probably went out with a big calamity. And this is an idea, it's people say, well, how do you falsify it? How do you test it? Certainly, if you find dinosaurs after the calamity, right? Or if you find a reptile bloom, well, that will falsify the hypothesis. But that's not what we have. And I think what you want to do is you want to try to collect data and you want to try to modify it. Recently, we have another paper that we can talk about. It was just published. And this is an idea, again, from Isabel Jimenez in our lab, in which she asked a different question. She said, birds survived. Birds came from a dinosaur line. Maybe the small dinosaurs also survived. Where are they? And the paper is published in MBio. She's a veterinarian. She's looked at the comparative anatomy, and she's argued that the comparative anatomy of birds, which resembles that of dinosaurs, would have predisposed them to fungal diseases. So even the birds may have made it for difference. They are warmer than we are. But it also, this again, ideas and ways to think about it. And once you kind of begin thinking about it, it opens up new experimental lines of things to do.
I recall you saying that when you first talked about this, people looked at you like you were a little crazy. And I'm wondering if you feel as though the evidence is really settling in to prove your hypothesis.
So I don't think a hypothesis can ever be proved. I am a Popperian in that way. You can only falsify. So what I say is, I think that people thought it was a tongue-in-cheek type of idea. Today, I think they think the same thing. What has emerged in the last 20 years has been this recognition that mammalian temperatures are really, really important in protecting us. That was not there 20 years ago. And that recognition and trying to put two and two together, why mammals? How do we end up with organisms that need to eat 3-4 times a day? When you had other alternatives. So I think it's out there. I don't know if it will ever be proved. It could be disproved, though.
So why is this recognition important?
To me, it's important because whereas in science, we don't worry about the why, we tend to worry a lot of how, mechanism, what's out there. And we leave the why often to philosophy or to religion. But I am very interested in the why questions. And I do think that they could be approached scientifically. So to me, this gets into the why question. Why mammals? It's something you can talk at a dinner party. Why mammals? And I think it has general interest.
What kind of meaning does it have, though, today? How does this relate to what's happening today in the fungal world?
It actually has major potential implications for the world right now. We have seen in the last 10, 15 years the emergence of a new fungal disease called Candida auris. Candida auris was not known to medicine until 2007, 2008. And then it emerges simultaneously in 3 continents. And then, since then, it's had 3 other emergencies in Iran, Singapore, and Russia. And the isolates are not related. It's not like somebody took a plane from one place to the other. These things are coming out of the ground. And the question is, what's going on here? So one idea, which again is an idea, which is, I think, much more accepted, is the possibility that the fungi are adapting to higher temperatures because of climate warming. And as they adapt, they can defeat our temperature defenses. So the big concern and how this ties into the present is that you have 6 million fungal species out there. We don't know the majority of them. If right now we are protected by our immunity and our temperature. But what if some of them adapt such that they can grow at our temperature? And that, as you know, was the premise of The Last of Us.
which you have said is at the moment science fiction.
When it came out, I had my 15 minutes of fame. A lot of reporters called me up, and the question was always the same. Dr. Casadevall, could this happen? And my answer was always the same. It's unlikely, but not impossible. So let's dissect that. It's unlikely because I don't know of any fungus that can turn into an animal, into a zombie. But we do know that cordyceps can turn ants into zombies. They can replace their immune system. They can make them climb up the hill. So it's not impossible. Is it conceivable that there is some fungal strain out there that can do this, given the precedent from the ants? And there is other interesting tidbits. I mean, fungi make hallucinogens. Is there some fungal species out there that makes a molecule that turns you into a zombie? Again, unlikely, but not impossible.
When you think about your new findings, what does it make you want to do next?
I think what I would like to do next is to explore more microfossils. We think about fossils as big bones, right? But the fungi are also living traces through all the strata of the earth. And I would like to know more. I think that I would like to go up to the present, and I would like to go way down, because I think that these microfossils can inform us about big changes in ecosystems. And if we can take that information and then correlate it with what we know about volcanisms, the drift of the continents, other extinctions, that we may get a fuller view of the past. And I'm a full believer that we need to know the past because the past informs the future.
How will you go about investigating this?
I think that if possible, I would like to establish collaborations with people in other parts of the world where these soils are very well characterized, where you know exactly where the boundary is, to try to get samples from those places to see if this phenomenon happened across the entire globe or was it localized to North America. That in itself is important. Let's say it was localized to North America. Well, something major happened in North America around that time. Can we try to figure it out?
Will this help us face the coming crisis of fungal infections?
I don't know if that information will help us face the coming crisis, but I do think that a recognition that fungi have shaped evolution in the past, in particular mammal evolution and animal evolution, could help us take this kingdom more seriously because it's understudied, under-researched. It's the unseen kingdom. It's below our feet. We walked on it on the ground. And yet, we only appreciate it when you see a mushroom pop up or when you go to the groceries and you buy some mushrooms to eat. And yet, it's one of the great parts of nature that is affecting all of life on Earth.
Arturo Casadevall, as always, it's a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Stephanie.
Public Health on Call is a podcast from the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, produced by Joshua Sharfstein, Lindsay Smith-Rogers, Stephanie Desmon, and Rachel Walsh. Audio production by Michael Bonfils, Matthew Martin, and Philip Porter, with support from J.B. Arbogast, Spencer Greer, and Chip Hickey. Distribution and social media by Rachel Walsh, with support from Nick Moran and Brianna Iacovelli. Follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky at Public Health Pod for more public health takes and special content. If you have questions or ideas for us, please send an email to publichealthquestion@jhu.edu. That's publichealthquestion@jhu.edu for future podcast episodes. Thank you for listening.